We would like to thank our generous underwriters, Shape Your Future, a program of the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust. This season, we've been featuring gardens and how they help create healthier lifestyles. Today, we are at NewView in Oklahoma City, and joining me is Lauren Branch, who is the CEO. Lauren, thanks for having us here. It's beautiful, your garden.
It is, and it's a beautiful day, too.
It is. Tell us a little bit about NewView and what you guys are doing here.
So our organization, NewView Oklahoma, is the only private agency here in the state that provides specialized services for people who are losing their vision or who have lost their vision. And we are also the largest employer of people who are blind here in the state of Oklahoma. And this morning, we're at our main facility in our community garden. This is where most of our employment happens here in Oklahoma.
Okay, so you're employing those that are visually impaired,
Yes.
adults, but you also serve younger kids as well?
We do. So our rehabilitation programs here in the state serve birth through older adults and everything in between. And so we're actually a statewide organization. So we've got clinics both and rehab centers both here in Oklahoma City and in Tulsa, but we've got staff that travels all over the state to serve individuals.
And I know you offer a lot of different programs and that sort of stuff, but let's talk about the garden specifically.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we're here. Why was it so important to incorporate a garden into this space?
You know, for individuals who have visual impairment, access to things, you know, spaces, activities can be difficult sometimes. And so one of the things that we tell people, talk about, is that most people who are blind or visually impaired lose their vision as adults. Diabetic retinopathy is the leading cause of blindness amongst individuals over 40, our working age adult population. And so, you know, one of the things that we had talked about for a long time is how do we better support the people we are serving and provide opportunities for healthy lifestyles? You know, so when you think about, you know, access to things that we take for granted, like, you know, going to the gym or going down to the park, or, you know, there can be a lot of barriers for individuals with visual impairments in particular, you know, transportation, mobility issues. And so we thought, man, it would be a great idea and a great program if we could provide access to all of that and programming for the people we're serving right here, so we can knock down a lot of those barriers and be able to provide some quality of life initiatives and some healthy lifestyle initiatives, and it's been great.
So something we might take for granted just being in our backyard can kind of be scary to somebody who might be visually impaired, and you're normalizing that, right?
Exactly. I mean, and I know for a fact some of our employees who have participated in this programs are now doing this at home, right? You know, it's easy. I mean, you teach them how to do it, and then they can do it at home as well. But if they can't, they've got the opportunity to engage here, and not only are they learning, you know, skills and how to grow things, but they're also, it's a community garden. They can take the food home with them. And so, you know, we've been, you know, incorporating, you know, things, meal preparation. You know, we've got some basil growing right next to you. We did a pesto class last year. You know, we grew all this basil and didn't have anything to do, you know, so pesto, and we've got a walking path, you know, out here, and just a number of different things that really is encouraging people to get out and move and be outside and think about their lifestyle and how that can support their better health, supports better outcomes, right? I mean, you
it
know,
might prevent
long-term.
some future blindness
and prevent, and it's a
help
preventative thing too, because, you know, it kind of perpetuates, you know, the diabetic retinopathy and being able to manage diabetes. If you aren't eating healthy, if you're sedentary, you know, you're not moving, then that perpetuates the disease. So we want to halt that and be able to provide those opportunities here on site.
So this garden hasn't been here too long, has it? Tell me a little bit about what's the history of it.
No, this is actually our second growing season. It's interesting because this used to be the smoking area for new. And so, a vast majority of our employees would come out here on breaks and lunch, and this is where they took their smoke breaks. And so as part of the grant process, we had to become a non-smoking facility. And part of the selling of that was being able to create a space like this that our employees could enjoy. So we've had, not everybody, but we've had several employees quit smoking. But I will tell you that for the vast majority of our employees, this has just been a joyous experience. And, we were very intentional when we created this space because we want to make sure that this garden is accessible for everyone. And so if you see our raised beds, they're at a level that they're actually wheelchair accessible. They address mobility issues. A lot of the plantings in and around the garden create sensory experiences. And so, we encourage the touching and feeling and smelling of everything, and I think that gardening really lends itself to that. I mean, I love to garden, and I know, a lot of the enjoyment I get is the tactile experience, right? And then to be able to take that and make it into something. And so, we just really thought long and hard about how we wanted to make this an accessible experience for everyone. And so not only our employees use this, but we're able to do programming, for our clients and enrichment programs. Our kids, when we're running our kids programs, can come over here and experience it as well.
Well, I love how you literally have transformed this from what was just a concrete gravel area into a garden, because I think a lot of times people think, we don't have the space. We can't do that. We don't have any soil. But you have elevated it in a very urban environment and brought in some green gardens that sounds like it's getting utilized a lot.
It is.
Thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Joining us next is Julie Bisbee, who is the Executive Director of TSET. And Julie, I love featuring some of the projects that you guys are working on in communities, creating healthy lifestyles with gardens.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? So we're here at NewView today, who came through a TSET grant application called our Discovery Grants. And what they've done is transformed their smoking area, kind of back of the facility area, to what is now a garden and an area with recreational equipment, fitness activities, a walking trail. It's fantastic.
And I think a lot of times we think about the physical health that it promotes and the nutritional health, but it's also sort of a mental health, right? People coming out taking breaks and just enjoying it.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of research that shows that getting into nature is good for everyone. Getting sunlight is good for everyone. And I personally am a big believer in dirt therapy. So getting your hands in the garden and doing things is great for everyone. It helps with your mental health, helps, reduce stress. And I think that that's an important byproduct as well.
Absolutely. So TSET is providing grants all throughout Oklahoma for projects like this. Can you tell us a little bit about that process?
Yeah, so you can find information on our website, that's tset.ok.gov, about our funding opportunities. Typically, we're doing about 2 or 3 a year, and people apply and they tell us what they would like to do, how it supports being tobacco-free, promoting physical activity, and also healthy eating. And so this was one of those grants. We do these across the state in a variety of ways. So I would encourage folks to get on our website and read more.
And what I love too is you're not just saying, here's the grant, good luck with that. You have a lot of resources also to provide. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yes, so on our Shape Your Future website, you can go there and see, how can I garden if I have a small plot, or if I have a patio? How can I add those fresh fruits and vegetables into my daily food? And recipes for that, really trying to help make it easy for people to make healthy choices.
Thank you so much for sharing this with us. It's a great asset for Oklahoma.
Absolutely, thank you.
For more information about Shape Your Future, visit their website. We would like to thank our generous underwriters, Shape Your Future, a program of the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust. We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.